Okay, everyone, and I've got my desk at least cleaned up enough to where we can continue the video. The rest of my room is still a mess, and that will be dealt with later, but for right now, I want to get this computer up and running. I do just want to take the camera off the tripod for 1 second here and show you guys how awesome this thing looks. So I have plugged it into power, display, keyboard, and mouse. I have not plugged in internet yet. We're going to see if the Wi-Fi works out of the box or not with Arch Linux. But check this out. Even just plugging it in, we've got 2 white indicator lights on each of the graphics cards, indicating that all 4 of the power connections are working. We do have a blue pulsating light coming from our motherboard, and I think that actually looks like it's just decorative. It's not actually signaling anything other than the fact that it's plugged in. But yeah, guys, look at this thing. Let me turn that light off right behind it because that's creating glare. This thing just looks amazing. It really does. I am happy with this this case design. I'm glad that I decided to switch around the side that it was sitting on my desk, because I definitely think it's a lot nicer looking into it than just looking at the other side. Coming around here, this is the front of the case that I didn't really get to much earlier. So the power button is on the top here, and we will click that in just a moment, but here we can flip up for our front I/O. There are 2 USB 3.0 that we plugged in, 2 USB 2.0 that we plugged in. We do have audio in and out, and we do have a reset button as well as a button to control the LED on the case. And we'll see how all of that works in a while. Optical drive will go here later. Maybe I'll also get a 3.5-inch hard drive dock that can fit in the 5.25-inch slot so that I can stop using the toaster for this that I have over there. But yeah, on the other side here, not a lot going on. I actually don't have enough room to back up anymore because I've got so much stuff in my room. So we'll put the camera back on the tripod and we'll turn this thing on. And we're going to turn off the lights behind the camera so you can see the display better. We'll bring our camera in here a bit and point it, I guess, just up at the screen. Okay, so first thing we'll try and do is boot into the BIOS, which should occur fairly automatically. I just clicked the power button on the top. Looking over here, we've got more lights coming on. Like I said, the Vegas do light up red when they turn on, and we've got the EVGA cooler up there getting light. This is plugged into one of the Vegas with DisplayPort, so we'll see if it comes up here. I might have to select our input on the monitor. Okay, ASRock, press F2 or delete to run UEFI. So I just press delete, and here we go. Okay, I really do like the clockwork theme that ASRock is using for this motherboard. I'm going to turn off a few more lights so that we can see this a bit better on camera. And here we have our UEFI. Mouse is working. This is the first UEFI machine, actually, I think that I've ever owned. Now that I think about it, because my System 76 laptop is technically UEFI, but it has a very classic BIOS in terms of the interface. It's all keyboard, which I usually prefer, honestly. But right here we can see total memory 32 gigabytes. It detects all of those, and it is running in quad channel mode, which is the fastest mode. Running at 2400 megahertz, so that's working perfectly. AMD Ryzen Threadripper 1900X 8-core processor running perfectly at 3800 megahertz base. Okay, there is a QR code. I don't have a scanner on my phone right now. Overclock mode is auto. We're not going to touch any overclocking right now, but this stuff is here. You can overclock your RAM, you can overclock all kinds of stuff, and you can set and load different profiles. Over in advanced, we've got different configurations. I don't think I need to change anything in the BIOS right now. I just wanted to take a look around and see what it is. We can get around with the keyboard as well. Northbridge configuration. IOMMU. I'm gonna have to look up what a lot of this stuff means later. WAN radio, Wi-Fi modules connectivity, that's set to auto. Storage configuration, SATA control is enabled. We don't have any SATA stuff plugged in, but right now you can see it detects our SSD, the 970 Pro 1TB SSD on NVMe. That is awesome. So looks like everything is working so far. Super IO configuration, ACPI configuration. Okay, right click goes back. Got some AMD options, firmware version. All right. and you can see both of our slots 1 and 4 are both running in by 16 mode, which is what we want. NVMe RAID mode, there is RAID if you want to enable it on the NVMe stuff. I would probably do that through software like LVM or something, but that is an option in the BIOS if you want it. Full HD UEFI is on auto, or you can disable it. Okay. Cannot force it to be enabled. Active page on entry for the UEFI. UEFI update utility. Okay, so there is an update utility, so we hopefully don't ever need to install Windows to update anything. Hardware monitor. CPU temp is going at 70 degrees Celsius right now, a little under 70. CPU optional fan is going to be our water cooler. CPU fan 1 is going to be the case thing that we plugged in. Switch CPU optional water pump header function. It is a water pump. Very interesting. I don't really know what I'm doing yet. I need to go back and read more of the instructions, which I can always do later. Not going to set a password for the BIOS right now. I do have one on my other desktop. Secure boot disabled by default. Awesome. We do not want that. NVMe? Okay. Okay, well, at this point, we're going to try and we'll save and exit. And then let me grab my flash drives and see if I've got an Arch installer or if I need to download one. So computer is rebooting, and I am gonna move this desk down. We'll try and get that glare off the screen for you guys. Let's turn this. All right, that looks a little bit better hopefully for you. Let me grab my laptop over here. Yeah, it's not gonna find any boot devices right now. Yep. Okay, what is on this flash drive right now? That is a Mac OS thing, okay. How about this one? Ubuntu Mate 18.04. Okay, let's overwrite that with Arch. Then you guys will get to watch me do a speed installation of Arch Linux. You will open up the installation guide. Alright, that'll just be a couple minutes while that downloads. The camera's really not capturing how nice this thing looks through the glass. I know it has no bearing whatsoever on how well a computer works, but it's still really awesome. Just because I tried to make it look good this time, which I normally don't. It did just occur to me that I did not connect the two graphics cards together with any sort of SLI or anything. They're pulsing slightly out of sync with each other. That's what just made me realize. I wonder, they should work perfectly fine as is, but I wonder if there's any benefit to connecting that or not. I'll have to look that up and see. Okay, that's done downloading. Let me just flash it to my flash drive. I did screw in the Wi-Fi antennas in the back. I did not show that. If you go and watch my video on unboxing a TP-Link router a while back, it's the exact same Wi-Fi antenna type. It's just, you know, coaxial connection, so you screw it in. It doesn't matter which antenna goes into which plug, but one of them will be used for 2.4 gigahertz and the other one will be used for 5 gigahertz. Okay, I'm going to open up the front I/O and plug this in here. This is going in one of the USB 2.0 ports. We'll just plug right in there, okay? And see if we can press a key. We might have to reboot. Yeah, we'll go ahead and reboot. So I'll hit our power button, turns off. Hit that again. Let's, I don't know all the keyboard shortcuts yet. I know delete for the BIOS now, or F2, okay. F11 for boot menu, so we'll do that, okay. And Inavera, Arch Linux, okay. We should be booting to Arch. Awesome. Alright. And this will, it'll be kind of slow once right now, obviously we're booting from a USB 2.0 connection to a flash drive. Looks like we did just get our full. See, we have full resolution detected using the open source AMD drivers. And start job is running for DHCPD on the Ethernet ports, which are not currently connected. So we'll just let that time out. Yeah, because I wanted to see if the Wi-Fi works. If the Wi-Fi doesn't work, we can plug in our Ethernet over powerline adapters. Okay, looks like it went ahead and let us continue. And I'm going to move the microphone closer to myself, first thing, so that I don't have to talk as loud, and so that you guys can hear me better. We will stick with the default keyboard layout of United States. Let's check if we're in BIOS or UEFI mode. Sys, firmware, EFI vars. Okay, so we might be booted right now with EFI. You know what, let's just roll with it for now. Let's see if we can connect to Wi-Fi. If we run Wi-Fi menu, scanning for networks. Okay, and looks like the motherboard's built-in Wi-Fi antennas do work out of the box with Linux. Awesome. So I will connect to my Wi-Fi, see if we get a connection here. Okay, so now if we ping nerdonthestreet.com, temporary failure in name resolution. Okay, there we go. All right. So we have internet connectivity. We're going to run time date CTL, set NTP true. Time date CTL status is running. We are going to partition the disks. So let's list disks, and we're going to be installing to dev NVMe 0N1, which would be our first NVMe drive. So fdisk dev NVMe 0N1, and let's see. So we want new partition. I typed in for new. You guys probably can't see what's going on right now, can you? I typed in for new, and then we'll do P for primary, default partition number 1, default first sector, default last sector for the full terabyte size. Create a new partition. Now we'll type W for write, and it exits. So now if we do fdisk-L, we've got a partition listed under dev NVMe 0N1 called NVMe 0N1 P1, and that is 953 gigabytes of type Linux. Okay, now we're going to mount the file systems. So mount dev NVMe 0N1 P1 to /mount. Alright, let's try doing fcsk to check dev NVMe 0N1 P1. Okay, I forgot to create a file system. That's what's wrong. We've got to format that partition with makefs.ext4 dev NVMe1 NVMe 0N1 P1. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now we should be able to mount NVMe 0N1 P1 to /mount. There we go. Now we're going to check our mirrors, etc pacman.d/mirror list. Okay, and we will comment out everything up to the first United States mirror. Okay, that's the United States mirror. We'll also do everything up to the second US mirror. That should be good enough for now. So now we will do pacstrap, which is the arch install command /mount base. So it's going to synchronize with those mirrors that we just selected. As you can see right there. Microcode SW error, microcode software error detected. Okay, we are having a problem downloading core.db from any of our mirrors. We are getting we're getting an error that has to do with microcode. Alright, well at this point I'm going to grab an Ethernet cable and plug us into wired internet. Because if we have to troubleshoot our Wi-Fi adapter, I'd rather do that when we're in our booted system. Okay. Alright, ping nerdonthestreet.com. Okay, we're going to... Okay, here we go. Got it working, guys. We were at pacstrap /mount base. Alright, going over Ethernet now for a while. We'll see what's up with the Wi-Fi later, off camera. No need to bore you guys with all that. Okay, now we are much more successfully downloading packages. We are getting a number of errors coming up periodically about some UDEV things. I am going to wait to see what actually appears once we're installed and booted into the installed system before I start concerning myself with any of that. Alright, we're finally done downloading all that. Now it'll install it. And I can confirm that our hard drive activity light is flickering, but barely staying on at all, since we are using an extremely fast SSD. Okay, and there we go. Next up, we will generate an fstab file. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and check out that fstab. Last time I installed Arch, I ended up not having an fstab. But looks like we got one this time using a UUID. Awesome. So now we will arch chroot into our installed mount system. Time zone is going to be set. Share zone info America Chicago etc local time. Okay. Then we'll run hardware clock --sys tohc. Okay. Localization, we will nano into etc locale.gen. Locale.gen, alright. And in us.utf8. UTF-8, alright. And we will uncomment that and run localgen. Alright. We will set the language variable in etc locale.config. Lang equals in us.utf8. And we did not set a keyboard layout, so we don't have to worry about doing that now. We are going to set our host name in etc hostname. And the name of this computer, I name all my computers. My laptop kind of came with a name because System76 names their products. My desktop in 2012, I called it i7 Workstation. And I called it that because it had an i7 processor, but even though it didn't use workstation class parts, I still considered it a workstation for me at the time. This thing is also a workstation. I could call it Ryzen Workstation or Threadripper Workstation or something like that. Instead, though, I'm going to call it Impulse Workstation. And we are going to abbreviate workstation just like we did with my serval. Not going to spell it out because i7 was short enough to where I could stick a word after it. Impulse is already a word. The reason I'm calling this thing Impulse Workstation is because I pretty much did buy it and build it on an Impulse. Normally I spend weeks, if not months, looking into a big purchase like this. This was basically something I decided one weekend. I need to upgrade my computer. I need a computer that I can put graphics cards in, and I picked out the parts and ordered the parts that same weekend. So compared to most of my purchases that I make, this was an Impulse. So that's what I'm going to call this rig, is Impulse Workstation. Alright, we will add a matching entry to our etc hosts file. 127.0.0.1 is going to be localhost. ::1 also localhost. And 127.0.1.1 is going to be impulse workstation.local domain impulse workstation. Do we even need the local domain thing? Yeah, we'll do that. This system does not have a permanent IP address. If it did, we would put that there instead of the 127.0.1.1. At this point, we will configure our network for our current environment. No. You know, since we're plugged in anyway, we actually won't worry about that right now. We just need to set the root password at this point. Okay. And a Linux-capable bootloader must be installed. We don't have an Intel CPU. This is AMD, so we don't have to worry about microcode for Intel. For AMD processors, the microcode updates are available in Linux firmware, which we've already installed. No further action is needed. Okay. So, as far as a bootloader goes, I usually use Grub. Systemd boot is available for UEFI booting. Grub does work with UEFI as well, though, which I wasn't sure if it did. Systemd boot doesn't boot to ext4. Cannot launch binaries from partitions other than ESP. Okay, screw systemd boot. We'll just go with Grub as usual. We're going to try installing Grub in legacy mode, because I don't really want EFI, I just forgot to turn it off in the BIOS earlier. If this doesn't work, then we'll have to figure it out. So we are going to run grub install, actually we need to install grub first. So sudo pacman, we don't need sudo right now, pacman-s grub. Okay, download that. Secure boot was already turned off. I feel like this motherboard has sane defaults that will allow us to fall back to a legacy system. There are some reasons why UEFI could be helpful. with regards to being able to update firmware and things, but I just prefer booting Legacy. It's easier to install, it's easier to maintain. I'm sure I'll get around to learning the new way at some point. Alright, but we will run grub install target equals i386-pc dev nvme 0n1, not the partition, just the disk. Alright, so we'll run that. Installing. Installation finished, no error reported. Now we will generate the main configuration file with grub make config -o boot grub dot cfg. Okay, so now we will exit, and finally we will reboot. Once this screen turns off, I will remove my flash drive and we'll see if we can boot from our SSD, and it looks like we're stuck on starting reboot. Alright, so at this point we'll hold the power button down. Always a great sign when we have to do that. Oh, nope, it's System D causing the problems. Alright, yeah, we'll hold the power button down. System D's having problems, we don't got time to wait for that. Push our power button again. I have removed the flash drive from the computer, and we are now booting. The motherboard does seem a little bit slow to start up. We can probably enable, yeah, fast boot's turned off, I know for sure already. Okay, and grub loads. Awesome, so we are good to go. We have a functional Arch Linux system now. Oh, what's this? Okay, here we go. So root. Okay. Now I am going to make myself a user with user add -m-g Jacob additional group wheel s bin bash, and username is Jacob. Group Jacob does not exist. Okay. Alright, well, we won't bother. It should create our group automatically. Okay. Password Jacob. Set our password. Okay. Do we have sudo installed? No. So let's install that. Okay, we're not connected to internet. That's just a pain, isn't it? Alright, we see the Ethernet controllers. What was I trying to install? Oh, sudo. Okay, there we go. Great. Sudo's installed. I'll finish setting that up later. All I want to do right now is just get a GUI running so you guys can have a nice ending to this video. And for that, we are going to install SDDM, and we are going to install KDE Plasma 5 on this. Since we're using an AMD graphics card, I'm hoping it'll be less glitchy than it was on my laptop with the NVIDIA graphics card. I'll let you guys know if that's actually the case or not, but I have been really itching to try it out. I'm going to keep Mate on my laptop because I have been enjoying using that, but we are going to try out Plasma again on the desktop. Xorg server, Misa, and yeah, Systemd is giving us errors again. I'll take a look at it later. We want Plasma. Alright, we'll just install Plasma, and then we'll install Plasma Wayland session, just for fun, I guess. We'll also install KDE applications. Alright, let's install all of that. All the defaults. Okay. Download all of that. Looks like a gigabyte's worth of download. And I think our internet's out again. Or our networking. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to pause the camera. I'll be right back when this is done downloading and installing. Alright everybody, that took quite a while, but it finally all downloaded and installed. So at this point, we're just going to run a systemctl reboot, and we'll see what we get here in terms of a GUI. I did also install Network Manager, so hopefully network comes up a little easier next time. And yeah, since we were getting some of the same udev messages, not sure if a reboot's actually going to work here, if I'm going to have to hard shut down. I've had to hard shut down for a while on my laptop anyway. Shutting down is one thing that Linux isn't quite as good at, thanks to Systemd. But alright, looks like one thing finally timed out. By the way, one other thing I just realized is that there is a power light on this computer. Even though we didn't plug in anything to the power LED, section of the motherboard, when the computer is turned on, the power light itself has a white ring around it. So I guess the computer can tell when it's turned on because it's receiving SATA power. which we plug the case into two of the SATA power connectors, as you might remember. Alright, and at this point I will go ahead and I'm gonna hold down the power button here. I hate to do this so many times so soon after we just built the computer and installed our operating system, but getting tired of waiting here. We've been going for so many hours with this video already. Alright, I do think that motherboard, or that BIOS splash screen looks pretty nice for a BIOS splash screen. Obviously super pixelated and everything, but it doesn't have any flashy graphics or anything, which is nice. Okay. Alright. So I did not enable SDDM, so system CTL enable SDDM, I guess, and system CTL start SDDM. Okay, so here's our GUI. Let me just switch our camera to zoom mode here. We'll put it back on autofocus. Alright, now I'm just going to log in here. Looks like our default, alright, mouse is working. Our default session is just normal plasma. So if I hit enter. Okay, oh, looks like they got a new desktop background since the last time I used plasma. Has been a while since I did switch to mate. Okay, well, there you have it, guys. However many hours later, we've got a functioning computer with a GUI. You can open up a file manager. I will have to go through and apply all of the settings I like with regards to theming and everything. But if we go to, do we have an about system? Yep, 16 cores, 8-core processor, 16 threads right there, AMD Ryzen Threadripper memory, 31.3 gigabytes of RAM. Very, very cool. If we open up a terminal and we run lspci grep AMD, we can see here. Let's do that again. VGA compatible device, Vega 10 XT Radeon 64, Vega 10 XT Radeon 64. Different revisions for the two different cards. Interesting, but those cards are both detected. So once I install Blender later, that should be good to go. And do we have network right now? I did install Network Manager. Why don't I start Network Manager? That'll probably help as well. Okay, see how we're doing now. Connection wired 1 activated. Okay. Do we have internet now? Yes. So if we go ahead and pacman-s blender, sudo pacman-s blender, and it looks like my super quick. Nope, Jacob is not in the sudoers file. Okay. We will fix that later, but I do just want to open up Blender because the whole reason I built this computer was for using those two graphics cards in conjunction in Blender for rendering. I do just want to say before we end the video, guys, whoever is still watching after all of this, thank you so much for sticking with me through the whole experience. Hopefully you thought this was at least a little entertaining to watch, building this awesome computer, installing Arch Linux on it, and seeing that it's all working. So yeah, I bought everything from Newegg, so props to them for not sending me any dead parts this time around. I've always had good luck with that kind of stuff. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions down in the comments section below on nerdonthestreet.com or on YouTube or Dailymotion. But for now, as soon as this gets done installing, if we go ahead and open up while we're waiting Task Manager, or what do they call it? System Monitor. Thought it would be tagged. Okay, so system load. Look at that. That is awesome. 16 threads in our CPU graph there. Here, let me zoom in so you can see that better. Okay. So yeah, you can see 16 different threads in our CPU graph. Most of them currently sitting at 0 because we're not doing anything yet. That will change very, very quickly. 32 gigs of RAM. Got our network history going there. But yeah, absolutely amazing. Amazing stuff. I'll go ahead and start setting up my personalization settings while we're waiting. So it's to breeze dark. There we go. That looks nice. Okay, and looks like Blender's just about done installing. Alright, and we'll open up Blender. And if we go to File, User Preferences in Blender, and let me drag that into our view here. We go to System. Oh, I haven't installed. I have not installed OpenCL or the proprietary drivers yet. Okay. Well, sorry. That's a disappointing ending, but you guys will see Display Season 3 coming whenever it's out this fall / whenever it's out. So thanks so much for sticking with me, guys. I'm going to end the video now because you've stuck with me long enough. I'm Jacob Kaufman. I'm the Nerd on the Street, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.